Is a survey quantitative or qualitative research? The short answer is it depends on the questions and how you analyze the data. You could design a survey that has all open-ended questions. So an open-ended question is where you ask a question and you want someone to write or type or speak, if you're doing like a verbal talking survey, their answer. It's open-ended in the sense that they can say whatever they want in response. If you do questions that are open-ended, those get you qualitative data. Qualitative data is basically like data that's not represented by numbers. If you ask questions where you have people agree or disagree, or rate something on a scale from 0 to 10, or have people tell you how often they do something, that type of data is going to be analyzed quantitatively. So that'll be analyzed using numbers. For instance, you might look at the counts, right? So how many people rated something a 5, or what percentage of people agreed versus disagreed. Or you might look at like an average ranking or response, right? Those are closed-ended questions, right? So those are questions where you ask a question and then you give people a set of responses to choose from. An exception would be like you could have a question where you have someone like type in a number, right? But it's still closed in the sense that you're having them type in a number. They can't just like type in yes, because you're not asking them to do that. You're asking them to type in a number between whatever and whatever. Now, sometimes you might ask open-ended questions and have qualitative data that you've collected, and you might analyze it quantitatively. So to do that, you would look at your like qualitative responses and you would go through, you would like code them. So basically that's like, it'd be like a whole nother video, but like categorize them. For instance, if you had a question that was like, is there anything else that you want to share with us about your experience at this training today? And you want to see like what the themes are from that question, you would go through and you would just like start to identify like, oh, like a lot of people are saying like the room was too cold, or a lot of people said they really loved the food, or people said that the speaker was really nice. Like whatever it is, you would go through and you might start like coding, tagging, marking certain things as like, this is like feedback about the temperature, feedback about the presenter, like whatever. You're coding the data with the goal of finding themes, but you might present the themes that you find through doing qualitative analysis quantitatively in the sense of like counting it up, right? You might say like 80% of people on this question like mentioned the food was really good at the event. Or it might be something like, out of the 300 people we surveyed, 200 people mentioned that they really wish we'd spent more time talking about dogs. Like I'm just making up making up examples, obviously, but like you're basically taking qualitative data and presenting it quantitatively. So when people say like, is a survey quantitative or qualitative, it's both. Now, I'll be totally candid with you. When I work with people on survey design, I typically recommend against qualitative surveys because analyzing qualitative data, in my opinion, is more complicated and time-consuming. So maybe it's not that hard to imagine analyzing qualitative responses from like 10 people, but what if you're surveying 100 people or 1,000 people or 10,000 people? Like there is a process, there are theories, there are like rules, there are best practices for how you would analyze qualitative data. Like that's going to take you some time. So I usually urge people to think about like, okay, like always give a qualitative option at the end where people can like share things that you might not have asked about. But if it's something that you want to be able to analyze and report out on quickly, let's ask it in a quantitative way, because it's, personally, I actually have analyzed qualitative data from like thousands of people, and it takes a long time to do right, and we don't always have that kind of time.
And like, here's the thing that I see happen. People are like, no, but I want people to be able to like write exactly how they feel about this. I'm just gonna do it qualitatively. And it's like, okay. But then when we look at how they analyze the data, something like this has happened. They're like, they pull out the most like shocking or dramatic comments that people make, and they present those as if it is a theme in the data, when really it was just one person's opinion. And I think that's the risk, right? Like when you're doing a survey, you're trying to learn from a group of people and be able to like make a generalization, like draw a conclusion about what a group of people have said. And so to get like distracted by like a spicy comment from someone and then present that as truth is bad. You don't want to do that. And that can happen easily with qualitative data, like if you haven't been trained or practiced in like how to analyze it. And so, yeah, if you're not going to like put in the work, put in the time, follow the best practices, I would just stick to quantitative. You can also like, at the end of the day, you got to be writing good questions, whether they're quantitative or qualitative. But I just thought I would like mention that note. People are like, no, like I love reading through all those responses. Well, great. Are you going to love reading through them in like a systematic way to make sure that what you're finding is actually like a true theme in the data? Maybe, maybe not.